process. And in fact, when you look at all of the tables, many hundreds of feet, in fact, from the tables in the very back. They were completely in the dark, completely unable to oversee the vote count, as was their legal right. An observer on the scene described it this way. Imagine being on a football field. You're on the 10-yard line and expected to make a call in the end zone on the other side of the field. It is unacceptable. An intermediary court ruled on the side of the campaign, on the side of transparency and allowing the poll watchers to observe the count. But what did the Democrat Pennsylvania Supreme Court do? They issued an administrative stay, effectively pushing back our poll watchers and denying them the access they deserve to sit and watch the count. Ask yourself this: what are Pennsylvania Democrats hiding? Why can't poll watchers simply observe the count? Second, Article 1, Section 4 of the United States Constitution clearly states this: the time, place, and manner of holding elections for senators and representatives shall be prescribed in each state by the legislature thereof. That's right, the state legislature is constitutionally the one making the decision. But the Supreme Court of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, Kathy Bookvar, and the Democrat-tilted Pennsylvania Supreme Court have continually disregarded the Constitution, making decisions clearly in the domain of the Pennsylvania legislator. In fact, maybe there's a reason the Secretary of State, Bookvar, keeps substituting her will for that of the legislature in a completely unconstitutional fashion. Perhaps it's because she has motive. In fact, she has shown her partisan hatreds tweeting this: using the title, quote, president before the word, quote, Trump really just means the office of the presidency. We see where her motives stand. And finally, a mere survey of the facts shows that voters in blue counties like Philadelphia County were given certain privileges that voters in red counties were not afforded. The Constitution's Equal Protection Clause requires uniform standards, but Democrat election officials created disparities depending on where citizens lived and where they voted in the state. Some counties set up satellite offices for backdoor early voting, whereas other counties did not. Some counties allowed pre-canvassing, where other counties did not. Voters in some counties were allowed to cure their ballots, whereas voters in other counties were not. What Pennsylvania has done is provide a case study into how to tip the scales of an election to functionally favor the Democrat Party. This has gone on nationwide. And I'll leave you with this. In DNC versus Wisconsin State Legislature, in another attempt to count late ballots that arrived after the election, Justice Gorsuch wrote, "Nothing in our founding document contemplates the kind of judicial intervention that took place here, nor is there precedent for it in 230 years of the court's decisions." He went on to say, "No one doubts that conducting a national election amid a pandemic poses serious challenges. But none of that means individual judges may improvise with their own election rules in place of those the people's representatives have adopted." They have taken a global pandemic and turned it into a nationwide electoral epidemic. They have taken, based on what they call a natural disaster, they have used that and turned this into a national disaster. And with that, I'll turn it over to Matt Morgan, General Counsel for the campaign.
Thank you, Kaylee. As Kaylee stated, the election is not over. Tabulation and canvassing continues across the United States. And today in the United States District Court for the Middle District of Pennsylvania, Donald J. Trump for president and 2 representative voters filed suit against the Secretary of State in select counties, alleging 2 things. Number 1, a violation of equal access based on a lack of meaningful observation and transparency, particularly in Democrat-controlled counties. And secondly, a violation of equal protection based on disparate treatment between Republican voters and Democrat voters. But what does this mean in layman's terms? What does this mean for all of you? What this means is if you are a Democrat in Philadelphia, you are allowed to work outside the bounds of the restrictions on fixing defective ballots, sometimes referred to as curing. But if you're in Republican counties in the state of Pennsylvania, you are not allowed to do that because they are strictly following the text of the statute in Pennsylvania. Secondly, if you are a Republican in the city of Philadelphia, for example, you are not allowed meaningful access to the observation of the vote tabulation process. If you are a Democrat in a Republican-leaning county in the state of Pennsylvania, you were allowed that access to meaningfully view the ballots as they're being counted. There are, in Philadelphia and Allegheny counties, there were over 682,000 ballots that were tabulated outside the view of our observers who are entitled by law to review those ballots. And we believe that a meaningful review of those ballots could discern that there were ballots that were illegally counted. Our relief that we're seeking at this point is to enjoin the Secretary of State from hurrying to certify the results before they were completely tabulated or canvassed so that we can obtain that meaningful review and discern within those 682,000 ballots at least, and there may be more throughout the state, whether or not there is disparate treatment for Republican voters and Democrat voters in the states, and whether Democrat voters were disproportionately allowed to cure or fix their ballots in some locations in the state and not others. And for example, even at a minute level here today, we are very close to the automatic recount statute in Pennsylvania, and this lawsuit itself could change that or swing that.
All right, so what do you guys think about the American politics? Should there be something else being done about the way we even vote, right? What do you guys think about it? There's a whole bunch of voter fraud
takes us one step closer to closing the gap
being surfaced.
differential in Pennsylvania.
Now, like I told you, I didn't vote for either one of them, so it doesn't really matter. But let me see if I can pull up something else for you.
I'm going to start with some of the irregularities we've seen in the state of Michigan specifically, and then I'll go a little bit broader. But Michigan is my home state, and in the county, Wayne County, Republican poll watchers were denied their legal right to monitor the election and purposely kept in the dark. Both literally and figuratively, poll watchers or election workers blocked windows and padlocked doors. Obviously, that's not going to instill confidence. There are thousands of reports of poll watchers being intimidated and unable to do their job. And as of 4 p.m. this afternoon, 131 affidavits have been completed just in Michigan, with over 2,800 incident reports that have been submitted to us since Election Day. 2 new lawsuits were filed today by people who were working in Detroit, and a whistleblower who has gotten their information. We have gotten their information to the Eastern District Court of Michigan. As you guys can understand, with 2,800 incident reports, this is a lot to track down. It means we're interviewing these people, we're getting their statements, and we're turning them into affidavits. But that takes a lot of time and effort. And as Matt has mentioned, there's a canvass process and a certification for a reason. But I will just tell you the distress that I'm hearing in my state from people who were at TCF and the way they were treated is deeply alarming. I hope you go and look at this. I hope you look at these affidavits, and I hope you hear from the people that were there who feel like they were denied transparency and saw wrongdoing in Detroit. We should all be alarmed by this, no matter where you are on the political spectrum. In addition to that, we've heard hundreds of instances of election workers who were verbally accosted they verbally accosted our poll watchers and refusals to let them challenge questionable ballots. Election workers were wearing Biden t-shirts and applauding when our poll watchers were kicked out. Imagine.
All right, guys, so bear with me. Basically, they're trying to say that there's a bunch of illegal fraud going on. Hold on one second.
Of the few ballots that Democrat election workers did allow us to challenge, our observers say those ballots were then moved back into the regular pile after our poll watchers were intimidated and pushed from the process.
All right, so once again, what do you expect of America? This is America, and America has been bogus, and most of the people in it from the days of Christ, okay? So what they have is a lot of people are saying in Pennsylvania, Michigan, that there's been a lot of voter suppression, ballot, what do you want to call it? Ballots being not watched at the polls. One instance was a young man signed an affidavit and told him his boss at the polls told him all the votes that came in after the deadline, which was, I believe, that Friday, November 6th or whatever. Election was on November 3rd. So that Friday, basically that they should have been backdated to November 2nd. So that's kind of illegal too. If you get ballots in after the deadline, they should have been discarded and thrown away and not backdated for Joe Biden. So there's a lot of things going on. And I want you guys to hear what Rudy Giuliani had to say about this whole entire Pennsylvania situation going on as well. Bear with me 1 second. I'm not going to play the actual footage. I'm just going to let you hear the audio, okay? But you guys, let me know what you think. America is crooked, so it doesn't surprise me that there's some crookedness going on when it comes to counting the ballots, counting the votes, being fair. I mean, who don't want to win? But will you go out of your way to deceive the American people to win? Will you, like Joe Biden, if you don't vote for me, you're not black. Trump says, stand down, but stand by, threatening people to vote for him. Allegedly, people said he went to the hospital, said he had COVID, allegedly, and people were saying that was for him to garnish votes and sympathy from the American people. Here's Giuliani. Let's see what he has to say.
You see behind me are just
Here we go.
starting on these lawsuits will be brought starting on Monday. But the first time it was discovered was here in Pennsylvania just a couple of days ago. The people you see behind me are just a few of about, I'd say, 50 to 60 poll watchers who will all testify that they were uniformly, deprived of their right to inspect any single part of the mail-in ballots. As you know, from the very beginning, the mail-in ballots were a source of some degree of skepticism, if not a lot of skepticism, as being innately prone to fraud. The New York Times had written that 10 years ago under other circumstances, but of course changed their mind once it was a situation involving President Trump. Congresswoman Jordan, in her vast and compendious review of various forms of voter fraud, cited mail-in ballots as the most prone to fraud. With all that, you would have expected there'd be a high degree of security and a high degree of inspection that would be provided for mail-in ballots. Instead, in the wisdom of the officials, Democrat officials here in the city that's been Democrat for 60 years and has a very long history of voter fraud, documented history of voter fraud, instead of going to a high degree of care to allow inspections of the mail-in ballots, there was no inspection of a single mail-in ballot. Those mail-in ballots could have been for anybody. Those mail-in ballots could have been for anybody they wrote in. Those mail-in ballots could have been written the day before by the Democratic Party hacks that were all over the convention center.
All right, guys. So you saw that right there. Let me go ahead and stop sharing it.
The year was 20.
No. We don't want no copyright strikes. So basically, the RNC Trump side, I guess he's the right side, the right wing, they're basically finding out that one guy came forward, signed an affidavit that his boss at the polling place told him when ballots had came in after the deadline that he was told to backdate them. You got people saying that votes are being thrown away, that there was something going on throughout the night of election, where people were actually filling in ballots for Joe Biden. So is it fair? I mean, when it comes to politics, would you support anything that's illegal? I've been living in America all my life pretty much. And I've been seeing nothing but crookedness, nothing but corruption in American politics. So it's not nothing new to me that the president or the president's capers would be out here, or the vice president capers, anyone trying to be president would be out here trying to sabotage the election to win. That's not somebody I want seated over me, ruling my country. So I told you I didn't vote, and I'm not ashamed to say I don't vote, because neither candidate did anything for my spirit. Neither candidate is going to do anything for America. Neither candidate is going to do anything for my people. So I sat this one out, and I'm glad I did, because I don't want to be a part of confusion, lies, deception, chaos. And that's basically what American politics is. So I asked the question, should it be revamped? If election day is on November 3rd, should not the ballots be in by November 3rd, period, point blank? Mail in, late ballots, overseas ballots, like the way they do it is kind of chaotic and crazy. So I can understand why the results and the outcome would always be chaotic and crazy, right? But what do you think? Me personally, I believe that there's some fraud going on. Will it change the way the election is, or the results of the election? You got to go ask them prophets that all prophesied that Trump was going to win, and he didn't. You had people like Sid Roth and all these televangelists talk about Trump's going to win, Trump's going to win. I don't give a damn who won technically, because if God ain't in the picture, ain't nobody a damn winner, right? So anyway, they was all like, oh, Trump's going to win. Where's all these prophets at? Prophesying who's going to win the election. So I'm not like that. And I'm not saying I'm here to, say or prophesy that them going to court or them disputing the voter fraud that's being found out. I'm not saying it's going to turn the tables for Trump. I'm not saying it's going to keep Biden in the White House. What I'm saying is throw the whole goddamn bathwater out and start the hell over again. Shut American politics down, like I've been trying to tell my people. If Black people, Latinos, shout out to Eva Longoria, she on some bullshit trying to say Latinos went out and voted more for Black people. Again, I'm not going to get into all of that. Maybe I'll do a video about it, because it's bullshit too. But Trump, it has some valid issues that there's voter fraud going on. So they're going to court. They're disputing the election. Is it going to make a difference? I did a video yesterday. Is he going to concede? And I also said, is he going to concede that old spiritual advisor, Paula White, and all these other pastors that done went demonically wild for God? I don't know how you be in God 50 years and then end up being demonic. Oh, that's a reprobate mind the Lord talks about in that Bible. They all have a reprobate mind. I'm just saying, the RNC, DNC, Paula White, Kenneth Copeland, and all these other evangelical coming out, trying to talk against this election or prophesy the election. They have so much to see with the American election, but they can't see how wicked the church is, right? They have all this discernment for American politics, but they can't discern the devil seated in high places in the church. Again, so, like I said, I think we should just throw away American politics. Somebody need to rewrite it over. I suggest that if the election is going to be November 3rd, 2020, everybody need to send their ballot in September. And then they'll be trickling in. You open up the polls, like November 1st, 2nd, 3rd. And then by election day, you'll be counting 1 or 2 states maybe. You'll be counting all day election day through the night. But like the next day or the day after, you'll have your results. This is crazy because election day, you give them a little bit of time to get out the White House, make the transition. But right now, they still counting ballots. They're still disputing it. The Bible says the devil is the author of confusion. And that's what American politics has always been to me, guys. Nothing but confusion. So Trump may have some validity. He may have some valid points, but will it make a difference? Did Joe Biden go out and try to sabotage the election, or did Trump do it himself? Because people don't believe it, but if Trump knew he was kind of losing in some states, he probably would have went out and had some of his henchmen do some things to make it look like the other side sabotaged him. I mean, whoever did anything crooked, they all need to be brought up on charges. They all need not to be in politics anymore. If it's always going to be this kind of confusion when it comes to the presidency, then we have to look at the presidency. It may be a wicked spot, wickedness seated in high places. Because if it was godly, it wouldn't be this much confusion around it. It would be a little bit more peaceful. People wouldn't be so much on edge and nervous and anxious. And some people damn near died behind this election. Go batshit crazy. Killed behind the election. And I never understood it. I bowed out a long time ago. I do not want to be a part of this. If I can't get, all right, say my YouTube channel. If I can't get to 1K being honest, integral, decent, knowing I didn't step on anybody's toes to get there, knowing I didn't trash anybody, I don't want to get there. That's the only way I want to get there. If I can't get there on the name of God, I don't want to get there on the name of Cardi B, Tasha K, Lovely T. I mean, all these people, Wendy Williams, it's okay. I mean, some commentary is good to do about other people. But if I can't get to where I need to go on the name of God, I don't need to get there. And really don't want to get there. And that's the problem with this world. Everybody is trying to get to the top, but where is God at in the American politics? Other than in God we trust on the dollar bill, and they lay their hands on the Bible when they do their inauguration. But where is God at in America outside of that? And that's the problem I personally have with American politics. They're full of shit. And people always say, well, why are you always into God? Because without God, we're nothing. And look at the American politics. People are looking around the world like we're the laughing stock of all times. It's beastie. It's degrading. It's not fun anymore. It used to be a time where you enjoyed voting, where you looked forward to honest men, because they never really allowed women up until recently, but honest men going at it, to lead the country. But now it's like you don't know who to trust. You don't know what their motives are. You don't know what their intent is. You don't know how far they would go to sabotage the election to win. So I bowed out. And with that being said, there's a lot of the RNC and Trump disputing voter fraud. Is the election really over? How long is it going to go on from now? Hell, they're still counting votes, the original votes in some places, I do believe, even though he's been projected to win. But Trump has been in court for a week at least, or disputing. And then they have the ballots that were supposed to go in Friday. If they were post-dated by the 3rd and got there by Friday, these votes are supposed to be counted. But again, in Michigan, Some of the votes were dated back to November 2nd. And if they didn't get there by the 6th, they should have been discarded. But some people went back and dated them. So it's a bunch of, like I said, chaos and confusion. And I just want to know what you guys think about it. How can you trust American politics? Why do you guys run out there and support something that is wicked, that doesn't have peace about it, that you have the two highest men. Well, I'm not going to put them on a pedestal. You have two men vibing or fighting for the highest position in America. And they both were acting ghetto. They both were out there lying. They both were pandering to the black community as if we're some pawn in this game that these white European men play, with our lives predominantly. They didn't represent anything of a 500-year black agenda for what is going to take America to make, us right again. If there's any making us right again, the president, the American politics have the right to say so and pass these laws. And then they're 500 years later, they'll include us in politics, but they won't put no protection around the black woman. They won't put no policies to protect our black men. The American government has been against our black men, especially Joe Biden with the 1994 crime law. I'm not going to stay here too much longer, but I just could not support white supremacy anymore when it comes to God not being in the white supremacy is the devil against God. But that's a whole nother teaching. I just could not support it anymore. Once I see God is not on the playground, once I see God's not in the church, once I see God's not in your heart, your spirit, your speech, your talk, I don't have to deal with it. Because if it's not God, the only other choice would be the enemy of God, the opposite of God. Right? So shame on America. Hey, look, AT, what's your name? No, it's far from over. You're absolutely right. And it's scary because we don't know what's in the minds of the American people. It's like we cape so hard for everybody but ourselves, right? It's like, you don't know, they've been killing, they've been shooting, they've been scaring people. They're in court now. The lies. So it's really crazy. Thank you for coming in. Look at me. Okay, sis. Looking for that December 14th deadline. Yep, we'll see. 2,800 at Avid in Michigan so far to file lawsuits. Yeah, Michigan is coming out. I just played a video. Michigan is definitely coming out with a lot of the voter fraud going on in that state. Rudy Giuliani's talking about stuff going on in Pennsylvania, and other things are about to start to trickle down. And again, like, I don't know if it was Trump out there doing, why would he sabotage his own self though? You know what I'm saying? So it had to probably be the DNC. If there was any voter fraud going on the DNC, I think that Paula White chick, that chant, that crazy prayer, the demonic part of everything is what destroyed the election, honestly. But it's crazy. Thank you for coming in. I appreciate you, sis. Well, I don't know your gender. You're behind the avatar, but I appreciate you coming in. So, yeah, I'm not going to stay any much longer. Thank you to the two people in my chat. I do appreciate you. Welcome to my channel. God bless you. You're watching Religion Link TV. I love saying that name. And my spiritual ear stays. Hey, I got 4 in here now. What do you guys think? Is the election over with? What do you guys think? We heard from Look At Me. Look At Me said it's far from over. I don't think it's over with either. But I just wanted to give you guys some facts. I mean, I know a lot of content creators don't talk politics or Trump or COVID or whatever, but I just want to keep you abreast that yeah, they projected Biden as the winner, but Trump is fighting hard in court. He has a lot of people with affidavits. He got people coming up saying, yo, my boss told me to backdate these. I was telling him that's not right, but he told me basically I'm going to lose my job if I didn't do it. I don't know why they didn't sound the alarm while it was going on, but if I'm standing at a polling place and somebody come to me, whether it's Biden or Trump, like I told you, neither one do anything for me. I don't care for either one of them, but I'm here to do my job and have integrity doing my job. If these ballots come in after the date they're supposed to arrive and there's no date on them and you want me to backdate them to November 2nd, I'm going to tell you, hell no. You do it. No, and no, you do it. I'm not going to do it. But that just goes to show you the heart of Americans. They're so afraid to stand up and even tell the poll watchers, I'm not doing that shit. That's what I was asking y'all in the video yesterday. How can you trust the poll watchers? How can you trust the people counting the votes? Remember Sharpie Gate? Certain polls in certain areas where people who were voting for Trump, when they went to go cast their vote, they gave them a magic marker, a Sharpie pen. And we all know, when you write with a magic marker, sometimes it's smeared through. And they were saying, because it was smeared, the machine wouldn't read the count. So they threw a lot of Trump's votes away. Allegedly, this is what Trump was saying. People were putting up ballot boxes around certain areas. People were just going there, dropping their ballot off, unsupervised polling places, fraudulent polling places. So this is America. It's crazy. All right, so guys, we are done here. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. I really do appreciate the one person that stuck in there with me. God bless you. I hope all is well with you. I don't know. I may be back later on, but we'll see. Thank you so much for watching my channel. If you're new here, if you haven't, please, and sometimes if you're returning, you guys forget to hit the subscribe box. Can you please subscribe? It's free. I'm trying to get to 1K, but I just got to follow the lead of the Holy Spirit. If I get there this year, I get there. If not, we'll keep working at it next year. You know what I'm saying? If I get there tomorrow, by the grace of God, whatever, I'm going to make sure I keep God included in it, because some people I noticed got on here with God in their heart, got on here preaching God, talking about God, but God is the furthest thing from their thoughts right now. Because when you're trying to get monetized on YouTube, the one thing I realize a lot of people do is don't talk about religion and politics. And I say these are the two things that's hurting the Black community and the American people. We put too much trust in our president, but every 4 years you can see that they're the most wickedest people. I mean, hell, you don't even see this much sabotage and hate toward one another when it comes to basketball or sports or a fighting match, a UFC or what's his name, Floyd Mayweather fight. But when it comes to the presidency, a distinguished, a well distinctive, a honorable position, they were out here acting like assholes. I'm like, I don't support that shit. So if I get there, I get there. And if not, I know I'm going to make it to heaven. See, a lot of people, or this state of heaven on earth, See, a lot of people are monetized, but they're miserable. A lot of people have following, but they failed in their relationship with Christ. Oh, I could preach this thing, but I didn't want to do that right now. I just want to stick to the facts and let you guys know that there's a lot of fraudulent stuff going on. And it doesn't surprise me on the heels of Halloween. You damn right the devil is on the rise. On the heels of All Hallows Eve, you can expect there to be demonic activity in the land, right? And with that being said, have a good evening, guys. God bless you. And I hope all is well. Like I said, may God bless you, keep you, make his face to shine upon you, be gracious unto you, let his countenance rest in you, and please let his shalom peace be all around you guys. If you don't want nothing else in this world, you want a leader that's going to be led by the Holy Spirit to the best of our faith's ability, and led by God and not of the devil. That's all I can say. But we as American people, and I'm going to just say this from a black person's point of view, we're used to following the devil and white supremacy and everybody that don't have any goodness for us or toward us. And we follow. We don't have to follow. Just because I live in America, American politics is something I'll talk about and cover maybe going in the future, but I don't follow it. I don't subscribe to it. It's just like being on YouTube watching certain content. You may watch it, but that doesn't mean you follow it, you subscribe to it, you cape for it, you're down with it. Like, that's crazy to me. So I just wanted to share this with you guys. American politics is not over with yet. All right, guys, that's it. I'm out of here. Peace, shalom, whatever it is you guys want to say at the end of your video. But I like to say, my spiritual ears stay. And look, if it wasn't for God speaking to my spirit, I would have never even really been covering politics. But because it's brainwashed, church, you stay over there, state, you stay over there. God says no. Politics without God is one of the most unspiritual, ungodly, wickedest things there is in the world. And that's why, because they don't want to obey the laws of God. If they obey the laws of God, there's no way they can keep breaking their own laws and abusing the American people, such as the black people, the descendants of slaves. It makes sense, people. You have to put God over American politics, whether they obey God or not. If you put the president over you, you're leaving God out. You go run to the polls to vote a president in, but you don't fall on your face to lift up the Most High God. That's all I'm trying to get people to see. Somehow, I know God is on his throne, but people have tried to dethrone God in your heart, your mind, your spirit, and it seems to be working. When you go out and have more emotion and passion, and some of y'all, like I said, get sick behind these politics. For man, this is men that your body reacts to like this. Imagine if you had this much energy for God and how your body would react to God. I gotta go. Shout out to the one person. I may be back. I still have to do my Paul teaching. I'm gonna break down Paul. Paul has been on my spirit for like a year now. And I owe my channel a Paul video. And then it's just freestyling from here going forward. Whatever come across my spirit, whatever 10-minute video, 2-3 hour video, whatever it is, that's just what I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna make any promises I can't keep. I don't put my mouth on everything, because everything is not meant for your mouth to be on. Some stories I just won't cover, just don't entertain me enough or move my spirit enough to even speak on people as well. So, but I do have probably some exclusives coming up. And with that being said, shalom everybody. Bye.